Right, so let's talk about boats, specifically Navy boats. And their names, because apparently Pete Hegseth has some thoughts. Strong thoughts, it seems. He's reportedly, and I stress, decided a ship needs renaming. Not just any ship, mind you. The USNS Harvey Milk. Yes, Harvey Milk. This news, if accurate, dropped on us today, June 4th, 2025. A truly bold move, some might say. Or perhaps just another Tuesday in political commentary. Now, ordering the Navy to rename a ship is quite the maneuver. It's not like choosing a new brand of coffee for the Pentagon. This involves a vessel already christened, already recognized. A vessel named to honor a significant figure. You'd think there are other, more pressing naval matters, like, do the boats float? Do they have enough fuel? Are the sailors getting decent Wi-Fi, the essentials? But no, the name. The name is the emergency. It's a special kind of priority, isn't it? This supposed directive, as you can imagine, has caused a stir. Or at least it would if it's definitively happening beyond this brief. The internet, that calm and rational place, would surely be buzzing. People tend to have opinions on these things, especially when it involves historical figures and military honors. It's like poking a hornet's nest, a very large, very gray steel hornet's nest, with advanced sonar capabilities, probably. So, the pot is being stirred, metaphorically speaking. You see, the world is full of actual problems. Climate change is still a thing. Global stability is, well, wobbly. My local coffee shop still can't get my order right. But thank goodness some are focused on the names painted on the sides of auxiliary fleet oilers. It's this kind of laser-sharp attention to detail that gives one hope, or something like it. So, let's unpack this reported naval naming drama, because if it's true, it's quite something. So, who was Harvey Milk? For those needing a quick history lesson, he was a groundbreaking figure in American politics, one of the first openly gay individuals elected to public office. This was in San Francisco back in the 1970s, a time when being openly gay was incredibly brave, and often incredibly dangerous. He wasn't just a supervisor, he was a beacon, a voice for the voiceless, a champion for equality. He urged people to come out and be seen. Milk's activism was passionate and transformative. He fought against discrimination in housing and employment. He inspired a generation to demand their rights. Tragically, his time in office was cut short. He and Mayor George Moscone were assassinated in 1978. This act of violence shocked the nation. It also further galvanized the LGBTQ+ rights movement. His message of hope became a powerful rallying cry, a legacy built on courage and sacrifice. Now, why name a Navy ship after him? That happened back in 2016. Then, Secretary of the Navy Ray Mabus announced it. The USNS Harvey Milk was to be a John Lewis-class replenishment oiler. These ships were named to honor civil and human rights leaders, people who fought for justice and equality. It was a deliberate move by the Navy, aimed at reflecting America's diverse heroes, and the ongoing struggle for a more perfect union. And here's a crucial point. Harvey Milk was a Navy veteran. Yes, he served his country in uniform. He was a diving officer during the Korean War. He served from 1951 to 1955. He was honorably discharged as a lieutenant junior grade. So, the ship honors not only a civil rights icon, but also a man who served in the U.S. Navy. You'd think that would be a universally appreciated fact. But, well, here we are, supposedly discussing its renaming. The Navy's decision to name the USNS Harvey Milk wasn't random. It was part of a broader theme for the John Lewis-class ships. These vessels honor figures who championed American civil rights. Think John Lewis himself, Earl Warren, Robert F. Kennedy, Lucy Stone, Sojourner Truth, all pioneers. The goal was to reflect values of inclusion and progress. It was a statement about the kind of nation America strives to be, acknowledging different forms of service and heroism. A modern take on a long tradition of naval honors. So why would Pete Hegseth, in this reported scenario, want to change? One can only speculate on the exact reasoning. Perhaps it's about tradition, a word often invoked. Some argue military ships should only honor battles or military leaders, or that figures like Milk are too political or divisive. This often means their activism makes some uncomfortable, especially when that activism challenged the status quo, even if, like Milk, they were also veterans. It's a specific kind of historical lens. The tradition argument in ship naming is interesting, because frankly, naval tradition is quite varied. Ships have been named after states, cities, animals, even abstract concepts like enterprise or constitution. So, the idea of a single rigid naming tradition is a myth. It's more about traditions, and heroes get the nod. The debate becomes about what stories we choose to tell, what values we want to see reflected on a massive steel hull. And that, of course, can get contentious. Let's be clear, demanding a ship renaming is a political act, especially for a figure like Harvey Milk. It sends a message, whether intended or not. It suggests that Milk's fight for equality is somehow still up for debate, that it's partisan, rather than a pursuit of American ideals. This kind of move often fuels culture war narratives, where symbols become battlegrounds for broader ideological fights. So if Hegseth has indeed made this call, it's not trivial, it's about who we honor and why. If this reported order is genuine, the backlash would be significant. LGBTQ+ organizations and allies would quite rightly be incensed. For them, the USNS Harvey Milk is a powerful symbol. It represents progress, recognition, and hard-won acceptance. Trying to erase that name would be seen as a deep insult, a step backward, a denial of their history and contributions. It would send a very poor message to LGBTQ+ service members, suggesting their identities are not fully valued. Expect statements, protests, and a lot of angry phone calls. Conversely, those supporting such a renaming would have their arguments. They might echo calls for the military to be apolitical, a charming, if somewhat naive, view of how things work. They might say ship names should stick to martial valor, or that honoring activists is inherently divisive for the armed forces. Some might quietly feel discomfort with honoring an openly gay man so visibly, though that part is usually whispered, not shouted. These debates quickly become polarized, with both sides dug in, each believing they're defending core principles. Ship naming controversies aren't new, of course. We've had debates about names linked to the Confederacy, and rightly so, because names have power. They signify. They tell us who and what a nation chooses to venerate. Changing them, or resisting their change, is always symbolic. It's about the narrative a country constructs about itself, its past, its present, and its aspirations for the future. These narratives are rarely settled, especially with transformative figures. Harvey Milk certainly fits that description. Ultimately, a dispute like this, if it's truly underway, touches on big themes: the tension between evolving social values and established institutions. The military has changed significantly over decades. Desegregation, women in combat, openly gay service members. The USNS Harvey Milk was a nod to that ongoing evolution. To try and reverse that naming would be seen as resisting that tide. It would spark a national conversation, or more likely a shouting match, about America's identity, its values, and who gets to be a hero. And that's a much bigger deal than just one ship.